Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome back to our Magic the Gathering lore series. If you've never seen this before, we summarize and present the storylines from Magic novels. It's pretty much the best series ever. Warning, if you haven't seen the previous parts, massive spoilers. You should go back and watch them. You can start here. We left off last time with Gerard, the interim captain of the Weatherlight, organizing his crew to travel to the Phyrexian plane of Rath to rescue Sisay. Gerard had just saved the lying scoundrel Stark from a clan of Keldon barbarians who were working for Volrath. Only he knew the way to Rath. With that said, I bring you Tempest. Reminder, the plane of Rath is entirely composed of flowstone. The book calls it an aggregation of cell-sized Phyrexian devices. They're basically magical nanomachines that can combine to form a malleable and tough material that responds to mental commands from the Evencar of Rath. Flowstone is continuously created for what is now known as Volrath's stronghold. After it's created, they spread it all over the place to extend the size of the plane. Just keep all this in mind. The entire plane can be mind-controlled. Ow. Gerard and the Weatherlight finally make their way into Rath. After planeswalking, they find themselves flying over the Skyshroud Forest. This isn't the only thing they notice. Out of the clouds flies the giant Phyrexian ship Predator, captained by one of the most feared beings on the planet, Commander Grevin Ilvek. I'd like to take a moment and tell you how they describe Mog Goblins, because that's mainly what Grevin's force is made up of. You'll enjoy this. It's like all direct quotes, by the way. Green skin was stretched tight over their ripping muscles. They wore no clothes, probably couldn't work a button or clasp to save their lives, or armor, but all of them were armed. Their heads were dominated by huge red saliva-soaked mouths lined with rows of teeth meant for rending flesh from bone. These goblins are definitely not these goblins. Grevin wasted no time attacking the Weatherlight. The Predator, with its large crew of Mogs, began the relentless assault with a cannon bombardment. Grevin was quick to board the Weatherlight and fight Gerard personally. This is probably because Volrath has Gerard as Rath's most wanted. Anyways, during the duel, it's clear that Grevin is stronger. Before he can finish off Gerard, his second-in-command Vati fires a cannon shot right at Grevin, trying to kill him and simultaneously take over the Predator. Gerard falls overboard. Grevin assumes he's dead, steals all the legacy items, and returns to the Predator, where he then throws Vati overboard for treason. The Predator captures Karn without him putting up a fight at all. Yeah, it's just traumatic pacifism. Tangarth, about to fall off the Weatherlight as it plummets to the ground, jumps and latches on a rope from the Predator, saving himself. No one noticed he did this besides Hannah, who was falling to the ground with Aura, Miri, and the rest of the surviving crew, including everyone we know by name except Gerard, who's still MIA. After landing the ship in the Skyshroud Forest, miraculously not killing anyone in the process, Hannah and Miri immediately head out to find Gerard, dead or alive. The forest is not a fun place. It's close to pitch black with no real ground. Imagine the ground being solely comprised of root systems for trees, and then beneath that, an unending sea that you could fall into at any moment. That's what Skyshroud is. Anyways, Miri and Hannah search for Gerard. They encounter a shapeshifter who takes the form of what Miri and Hannah would look like if they were one person. They fight for some time. Miri is knocked unconscious, but Hannah is able to defeat the shapeshifter by using a move Miri taught her. Oh, seriously though, it's awful forest. Miri wakes up and they continue their search because why not? They find a scrap of clothing and a bunch of broken branches where it's clear Gerard fell, but he isn't there. They follow his trail to a healing spring in a clearing. There, they drink water with healing properties, mending all their wounds. It is at that point that a group of elves come out of the shadows and take them captive. Back at the elven village, Miri and Hannah are placed inside a large hut. After some time, three beings enter. An elf named Eladamri, a woman known as Oracle, and boom! Gerard! Heck yes. Sorry, I get a little into this sometimes. Eladamri, also known as the Lord of Leaves, asks Gerard if he plans on fighting Volrath. Gerard tells the elf that the sole purpose of the Weatherlight in Rath is to save Sisay, and if Volrath gets in the way of that, then that's his choice. The Oracle begins telling the group that Gerard is the Corvekdal, or the Uniter. His fate is to unite all the humanoid tribes living on Rath, the Kor, the Vek, and the Dal, and rally them against Volrath. Accepting the oracle's prophecy, Eladamri sets Hannah and Miri free along with the crashed Weatherlight crew that they obviously have completely surrounded. Once the elves leave the hut, alright, I'll just quote this for you. Once the elves and the old woman left the room, Hannah flung her arms around Gerard, reassuring herself by touch that he was indeed alive. Hannah looked up at him with a smile on her lips, about to comment when his eyes caught hers. Slowly, hesitantly, he dipped his head down and pressed his lips to hers in a long, drawn-out kiss. Oh my god, it's a better love story than Twilight. It's like 10 out of 10. Hannah and Miri wonder how Gerard is alive. Apparently, during his fall, the Dark Angel Selenia, Krovax's old guardian angel, scooped him up. You'd think this be a good thing, but since arriving on Rath, Selenia had been corrupted and tried to bring Gerard to Volrath. Gerard fought Selenia off and fell into the healing spring. Deep into the water, he found a bunch of merfolk who tried to kill him. He outmaneuvers them long enough to be saved by a wandering group of people called the Vek, a native group on Rath. That's where he meets the Oracle, so ta-da, protagonist alive. Important thing to know, the Vek are a tribe that were trapped on Rath a long time ago, originally from Dominaria. They're a nomadic group who are generally good-intentioned, however that doesn't mean all are. The Vek who decided to ally with Volrath are now known as Ilvek, like Grevin and also Stark, that guy. The Vek who still resist Volrath are known as Envek, like the Oracle. One assumes the same pattern applies to the Kor, Ilkor, and Enkor, and the Dal, Ildal, and Endal. That'd explain all those weird card names from back then, at least. It's the more you know. As the Skyshroud Elves and Gerard begin planning their siege on the stronghold, they start talking about the Thran crystal that enables the Weatherlight to plane shift. During the battle with the Predator, the crystal was broken, making it impossible for the ship to go back to Dominaria. Eladamri tells Gerard about an ancient gateway located in a deep canyon somewhere on Rath. No one knows where it leads to, but it definitely takes you somewhere. Stark tells the War Council about a back way into the stronghold through furnaces and tunnels. The prevailing plan at the moment seems to be that the elves would attack the front gates with all their power, while Gerard and the others sneak in through these furnaces and steal back Zisse, Tangarth, Karn, and the Legacy. Then escape and find a portal that goes somewhere. These guys would be terrible at risk. Knowing that the gateway is their only hope of getting off Rath, the Weatherlight travels days to get there. Once they do, Urtai figures out that he has the magical ability necessary to activate the portal. Wonderful. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. However, because it's an ancient script, it'll take time. Urtai will have to stay with the portal attempting to activate it while Gerard and the others go to war. As they travel to Volrath's stronghold, Stark tells Gerard everything they'll have to go through to get into the back door. Crossing the cinder marsh filled with beasts, flying through the exhaust vents inhabited by mysterious creatures known to become stronger in numbers, also known as slivers. Crap. The Weatherlight succeeds in traveling over the cinder marsh. Stark points out in an active chimney they can fly down. This isn't your ordinary chimney. We're talking monstrous black pit in the ground. Anyways, the ship descends underneath the stronghold into the ventilation shafts. Before long, they hear a loud pounding noise. Immediately after that, a horde of red slivers attack the ship. Barely anyone has time to react. In the next moment, giant green slivers descend upon the Weatherlight, making the red slivers more muscular as they approach. A third group of slivers fall from the ceiling. The red and green slivers start growing spikes. There are even metallic slivers attacking them. The savage creatures completely overtake the Weatherlight. Another group, this time blue with wings, attacks from the air. All the other slivers start flying and swarming. It was at this time that Hannah noticed that while most of the slivers were flying, some way in the back were not. The ranges of their effects are limited. Using this knowledge, the crew of the Weatherlight separate as best they can and focus down the flying slivers first, then the muscular ones, each time removing another aspect of the ones that survive. Eventually, the Weatherlight is covered in sliver corpses, but the crew survives to continue their journey. Stark, scared out of his mind, stayed in his cabin for most of the fight. There, he reveals his true plan as he talks to himself. Everyone assumes that Stark is helping Gerard so that he can get his daughter back. In reality, Volrath has already struck a deal with Stark. If Stark could bring Gerard to Volrath, he'd let his daughter go. So, let's review. Stark turns Vwel into Volrath, basically. helps him become the Evancar of Rath, then has his daughter kidnapped by the same person, and is now forced to follow his every whim, just hoping he has a chance to see his daughter again. This is what we're dealing with. Back to Ertai. While all these sliver shenanigans are going on, Ertai is hard at work trying to master the portal's power. While doing this, he's approached by a humanoid named Lena. She says that she's from the Soltari tribe that got trapped in a separate dimension when Rath was going to be overlaid onto Dominaria. She explains that the Soltari live in the shadow world with two other tribes, the Dothi and Thalikos. They fight eternally and wish to be freed. Ertai makes a deal with her. If they help him activate the portal, he will let them go through it and be freed from their shadow imprisonment. We end Tempest with the Weatherlight making it through the exhaust vents and into the furnaces of Rath. As they travel past the furnaces, they find themselves in an area surrounded by blackened oil and skeletons everywhere. You might have heard of this before. The Weatherlight has reached the Death Pits. The mountain of Volrath's stronghold is 3 miles high. The stronghold itself was 1.5 miles in height. The cone of the mountain touched the sky. Direct quote. This is what they're in the middle of. The Phyrexian stronghold created by Yawgmoth himself so many years in the past that no one in this book ever mentions his name. The struggle is real. I hope you enjoyed the story of Tempest. I can't wait to see what happens now that things are really heating up. Get it? It's like the furnaces of Rath. Nailed it. Remember to like and comment if you enjoyed this series and let us know what you think about what's going on. Things are getting pretty intense. As always, subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Manosaurus. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.